This is Everyday Photography Every Day, where you get to listen in on a chat between a photographer, that's me, and a regular human.
That's me.
With an eye on making your pictures amazing. No technical stuff, no talk of gear or software, just photography for the love of it.
We're sponsored by neomodern.com, bringing concierge photo printing and framing to everyone with a smartphone. I'm Suzanne Fritz Hansen, enthusiastic iPhone picture taker.
And I'm Michael Rubin, photographer, founder of NeoModern and Grumpy Old Man, and we're in San Francisco tonight. Welcome. Hey, Suzanne.
Hey, Rubin. How are you?
I'm good. I thought we could chit-chat before we start, but I don't want to chit-chat. I actually am excited.
Cut to the business.
I keep telling you, I think we should talk before the shows get going, and then
you don't.
Yeah, I'm the problem, and this is what it looks like.
It's cool. We can just jump right in. I'm also excited. Bryant is here today. So
okay,
you've met him before, right?
I have. Well, okay,
you know him.
So everybody, this is Bryant Austin, and I just want to tell a little story. Bryant, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
So I don't know. I haven't really heard your version of this, so I'll tell my version, and let's see how they fit together a little bit. And I could be maybe I completely made this up, but my recollection was many years ago, maybe 9 years ago or 8 years ago, I met someone who had a gallery in Carmel, and she and I were hanging out, and at some point she said, "I want to show you somebody's work that I think you'll like because I know you love photography." And I looked at one of your photographs, and my jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe it. She explained this. She explained what you were doing to me. And at the time, I was going to these conferences in Carmel, and I guess I don't know if you lived in Carmel or maybe she was in Carmel, but I invited. I showed the pictures to the people from the conference, from the EG conference, and everyone was like, "That guy's awesome." And then one day I was at the conference, and there you were. And that's how I met you, was at the conference.
Thank you.
Is that...
Wow.
Did I make that up?
No, that sounds right. Yeah. And I really appreciate that. You connected me with EG because I met a lot of great people there and some people that took my work to new levels. So thank you.
Well, I have to say, for people who don't know your work, the pictures that I saw that just were jaw-dropping. Again, stop me if I'm remembering this in a dream, but it was a life-size photograph of a whale, and the eye of the whale was the size of my head, and I'd never seen anything like this. A life-size photo, and if you take a picture of a whale, you're going to distort it, but it was undistorted. What was I looking at? What was that?
Yeah, those are life-size portraits. They're portraits emphasizing the eye and the varied expressions in the eye. And those portraits are roughly 4 by 6 feet to 6 by 10 feet.
Wow.
And that's the first thing I always do when I'm with a whale is to see if I can get the portrait of the eye and the surrounding head.
That's the first thing you do when you see a whale.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, no.
checking.
I mean, the first thing I hope for, and I'm very careful to hopefully achieve. And if the whale spends more time with me, that's when I start to think about doing the whole body. And so that's when I'll start photographing their body in 5-foot wide sections, going up and down, and then making this really massive composite, highly detailed composite of their body. It's done with a medium format camera.
Wait a second. Are they holding still for this? Do they know what you're doing?
Well, what I do it's both. So most of the time I stay still, and if you're by yourself in the ocean, floating alone, they're more likely to come up to you, and you wait for them to come up to you because if you swim up to them, they most likely leave, and so you have to really just wait. And when they come up to you, they can come up to you for 4 minutes to 5 hours, and I've had both.
Wow.
And so generally, I do let them swim by my camera. So they'll make multiple passes, and then I'll just take pictures as they move by my lens. And they're generally like 5 or 6 feet. 6 feet's the outer limit. It's really 4 or 5 feet that really gets the detail, gets the color and the tones, because you can't use artificial light.
What came first, the photography or the whales? I mean, were you a diver and you thought, I should take pictures of these? Or were you a photographer thinking, I think I should get in the water?
That's a long story. I was a kid just completely out of touch with my truth. And it took years to peel back all the layers. And then in my truth, I realized, I I was a painter most of my childhood, and it burned me out. I wasn't satisfied. And then I realized photography is my medium. And the other layer that slowly got peeled out back was that I'm really connected to the ocean in a big way, and in particular whales.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's just waking up to your truth and just and feeling that resonance. It's like, wow, okay, yeah, it's pretty obvious. This is my purpose and my truth.
So how
connecting with these animals.
So how did that project? That's the Eye of the Whale project? Is that what you call that?
No. Well, I mean, I even though I haven't done it for a couple of years now. It's always been a practice to me, and I don't know what it's called. It's just a practice. It's a way to connect with nature and a way to connect with yourself and really just blur the lines.
I heard a talk that you had given, or an interview that you'd given, and you were saying it's 15 to 30 photographs per whale, and it takes months not just to composite the images, but it takes months to build a computer that can process the amount of kind of data to make these images possible. Can you talk about that? That amazes me, that you have to make your tools.
There's tiers, like in doing this work. I mean, it's highly experimental. It's never had been done before or since. So there's tiers, like, and getting the computer is part of it. Like having the processing power is that. So it's like, okay, I'm in the field, and I'm in the field for 5 weeks to 3 months. It's really expensive. Okay, I got something. It happens. If you're in the field for 5 weeks, you're lucky if you have one good encounter, for 5 minutes or an hour. Okay, it's like, okay, what do I do with all this data now, all these photographs? I can't do anything with them. So now because the computer I had was from the last field season from 2 years earlier, and I'm everything's getting bigger. And I've built 3 computers over time to tackle each one. And the last computer that was built, it was built just to make one photograph, and it measures 8 by 36 feet. And that was completed in 2012. That was my last one. I spent 12 years of my life to make 14 life-size portraits. And
wow.
That one was never printed. So, it's everything I do is done to archival standards, so they'll last for hundreds of years, so future generations and kids can see what we may lose in our lifetime, or may not, hopefully not. Mm-hmm. But I really want a solid record of what we're coexisting with right now. And that's when I decided to take a break, because wow, I've spent, that was finished in 2012. And then for another 3 years, I just tried to raise funding to print and mount it, mm-hmm. to an archival standard, which is, it's like $60,000 or $70,000. Mm-hmm. And then you've got to store it and transport it and find a venue for it. And it was just, I wasn't creating anymore. And it was, that part of my mind was going, atrophied.
How do you feel when you're in the water with just kind of waiting for a whale? Like, is it meditative? Is it
it's
scary?
Very peaceful. No, it's very peaceful. So there's a lot of surrender, and it just comes naturally for me. And like I said, I do work alone in the water, so I can be in 3,000 feet of blue water. My boat can be 800 feet away. And I'm just with whales. I'm floating. I'm at a distance where we can have a visual connection to each other, mm-hmm. but that's it. And then I just wait. And it is meditative. I breathe up in a way. I'm a free diver, so that's breath hold diving.
Wow.
So I don't generally dive with whales. They don't like it. They leave. So they're very sensitive. But it's just a way to relax. So I'll saturate my blood, to nearly 100% O2, and my heart rate, I can lower my heart rate through my breathing, the way I breathe. And it's just very relaxing, very much in the moment.
But you're holding a camera, and you are hoping a whale comes around, and
sure.
You have to concentrate on the photography part as well as not, dying because you're holding your breath underwater.
The breath hold's not, I don't do too much of that. I've been held by whales and almost taken down by a young whale that just held me in his arm, his pec fin. And I think he was about to take me to go see his mom. And his mom came up next to us. And so he let go of me. But you have to be able to navigate those those things when they come up.
Well, so, Are you more comfortable? I was glancing. I've been going through your portfolio, your newer work. You're on the land, that looks
Right.
safer. Is it still meditative? Is it the same kind of process?
Yeah. So
Tell me about that,
excuse
the
me.
new project.
Yeah. So it really, yeah, I had to take a break from whales just because it's just yeah, it's a long. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like, really, the ultimate issue was I couldn't make it sustainable, and it was yeah, it was it's a long story. It wasn't sustainable, and I thought I could either just try to be a salesman and not take photographs for, I did that for 3 years. I could just keep doing that, or I could just create and find a way to have a daily creative practice. And I made that decision in 2015. So then the idea was, okay, yeah, whales they'll pull you into the present moment. The word whale is meaningless when you're with them. They have a presence. You feel their presence, their consciousness. It's all very evident. And you can, they can bring you closer to an enlightened state where you just feel connected to everything and feel one with everything. They can easily take you there, especially when you can just touch them and they're looking at you, their eyes moving and studying you.
Wow.
But I always want to know, it's available to us every day, all of us, everywhere. We don't need to be with a whale 5 feet away. We could, that same thing those emotions can be stirred from by a flower or a tree, or the sun or the sky. And I thought, I just want to explore ways to evoke that same emotional state that I felt with the whales in everyday life. And
So
I have to say a lot. Well, I'm sorry.
So what did you do?
Well,
I've seen some of your pictures, but maybe you could describe what you came to.
Well, it was a decision I made in an emergency room. Actually, I had a close call with a medication. It just, my body just did not like it, and I just thought, laying in the hospital bed, like, what am I doing? And I just came back to this idea of connecting every day, and the idea is, when you connect to the present moment, when you can create work that reminds us or can connect us to the present moment, you realize that the cosmos is right here. And I just wanted to start exploring work that connects us to that reality. I'm not sure if I answered your question, though.
Not at all. Not even in the slight. Well, what I've seen they look like landscapes, and then there are these almost scientifically amazing images of the sun.
Okay. Yeah.
What am I seeing?
It started with the sun and the telescope, and how we have narratives in our head, like that kind of hold us back, And I think during that 3 years, I wasn't taking photographs. I was so focused on the whales, getting back to the whales, really doing all this stuff. The narrative was, I can't do anything else. Like, it's whales, and anything else I do is less. And there's in my mind, I almost created like a hierarchy, like whales are at the top of this hierarchy, and they're not. So I'll just real quick, just because it makes sense to explain this. I was having GI issues, and the medication was to help with GI issues, but it sent me to the emergency room. And the doctor said, if you take antidepressants, they can help your GI issues. And I thought, I don't need antidepressants. I'm fine. They said, you're fine, but your stomach and your intestine, they'll benefit from it because they have lots of serotonin receptors. I'm like, okay, let's take them. And I was like, lo and behold, where's my narrative? And it was just like, oh. And it was like I could be a child again. I could create. I could run out. I had a telescope in the garage that my wife's parents gave to me as a gift for the Venus, when Venus transited the sun in 2012. So let's just explore with this. Let's see where it goes. And it was just a giving myself a pass to play and explore things that have been with me since childhood. And so, it started with the sun and it started with the tree. And it's very childlike and honestly, it's very unoriginal, but we all like to align the moon and the sun behind things and the tree and this and that. And I just gave myself permission to do that. And I wasn't prepared where it would take me. And I had no agenda. I'm not creating a body of work. I don't have an exhibition schedule. I'm not trying to do anything with it. I just want to see where it would take me. And it took me on a journey I wasn't prepared for. has moved me more than all my time with whales.
Really?
Yeah, starting with the sun. I don't even know where to begin, but there was a moment where I was photographing the sun rising behind a 6-foot Jeffrey pine on Half Dome that I've been photographing for the last 4 years. I photographed the tree from 2.5 miles away with a telescope. And right, the idea is like, oh, let's get the sun and the tree, and that's cool. And then it's the things I would see beforehand. I would see the way the sun, you wouldn't see the sun, but you would see the way it would illuminate the tree, and then the edge of the granite, right, out till it goes out of the frame. And the telescope's roughly like 2,000 millimeter magnification. And then you would see, before the sun emerges, you would see the insects flying. They look like stars. They're like, the sky's black, by the way. Everything's black except for this drama unfolding, this micro world I'm seeing from 2.5 miles away. And then birds would fly over. Airplanes would fly over, and they would flash the sun and look like comets just rocketing through the frame. And so you're just connecting to all these things. And it was a day like that with Half Dome and this Jeffrey pine, where I looked over my shoulder. I'm waiting for the sun, and I don't use a watch. I just look over my shoulder, and I can see the shadow coming down behind me on the valley, on the wall. Mm-hmm. And the shadow hit the valley floor, and it started moving towards me. And I kept looking over my shoulder, looking at the shadow. And in a moment, I looked over, and I swear I could feel a presence in that shadow. It's like Earth's rotation is evident in that shadow approaching me.
Wow.
And I felt a presence. And as the shadow came up to me, moved past me, I for that moment, I could feel the cosmos experiencing itself through me. And then a moment later, I felt it experience itself through me until there was no longer a me.
Wow.
And that happened last year, and after 3 years of just following the sun. And it's forever changed the way I create now. And I don't even create anymore. I connect to reality, Earth's reality, and to myself.
But you're using the photographs as a vehicle or as a part of that connection. Yes.
Yeah.
Or it's like sharing the connection. I mean, it seems like you get to share your connection with the world because we get to see these moments in a way that the rest of us our eyes aren't even open for.
Yeah, I hope so. Initially I thought, well, if I can just create every day, it's a way to get myself out there, and maybe it's a way back to the whales, but it was kind of more just a way back to yourself, your true self.
What's so interesting is that, I mean, you've taken the largest creature on our planet, and given them this soul and this texture that is sort of unseen unless you're really there. And this, you talked about this before, but just this calmness in their expression in their eyes. Yeah. And then you kind of have moved to now, obviously, this large orb that is, in our solar system.
That's true.
And you've added this level of texture and edge that I've never seen before. I've really never seen these photographs that they're, and I don't know if it's the addition of them being black and white that adds this almost abstractness of the contrast and this texture. It's really compelling.
Yeah, there's texture in the sun's disk where it's almost always blown out. Every picture of the sun that humans take is going to be blown out and exposed for the ground. Yeah. And here you've, I don't know, through a series of unbelievable solar filters, have brought out the texture in the what do you call that? The corolla,
the chromosphere, and the corona we can see during the eclipse, and there's the chromosphere, and there's different layers of the sun's surface that you can see through different filters. And I use a hydrogen alpha filter. The sun's been very quiet for the last year, so I haven't done any imaging of the solar surface since. Yeah, for
me
the
too.
Past year.
Yeah.
But you get really connected to the surface because you'll see the storms and the spots, and they move each day that I set up an image. You'll notice that the spots over a little bit more and a little bit more. The sun's spinning too, and
wow, an amateur can do this. Can get a filter
easily. Yeah, easily. Wow. Yeah, you could get a filter for $100 for if you have a telephoto lens. If you have a 500 millimeter, I have a 2 to 500 millimeter lens at Nikon that I use for my Sony cameras, and it works beautifully. I put a doubler on it, and a solar filter, and you can see the surface in beautiful detail just
Amazing.
with that.
And those are straight shots. Those ones I saw with Half Dome and the sun.
Yeah.
That's just a picture through a huge long lens.
Right. The ones that are online, that I have online, some, like the one with Half Dome, that's just one telescope and a solar filter. But to get the surface of the sun, to get its detail, to get the dynamic range of an illuminated atmosphere, like where there's high humidity and you have like you have something in the air that reflects light that makes it white. It's not quite clouds, but it's something forming. Mm-hmm. So you want to get that. And then you want to get foreground subjects in focus. So I for a while, I was using 3 cameras. So I'd use 2 at the same time for the sun and the atmosphere and the foreground subjects, getting, I guess, focal dynamic range and then illuminated dynamic range, I guess. And then for the surface of the sun, I would either image it separately before or after these events. And to get the surface detail, you use a monochrome video camera. And the sensor is really small, and you can only image about 1/8 of the sun's surface at a time, and you capture about 4,000 video frames. And you do that. It takes about an hour and a half, and then you run it through a program that picks out the sharpest frames and stacks them into a 16-bit print quality TIFF. And then a program like Photoshop can render it seamlessly into a disk. And then
so you're
then
suggesting I can't do this with my phone?
You could actually. It'd probably be very original. I don't know if anyone has yet. We can modify your phone with a monochrome sensor.
I will make some calls.
Color filter array.
What? I'm curious. I mean, it's clear what inspires you. Are there photographers who inspire you, who got you to here, that taught you something?
There are photographers who inspire me now, like not when I was up and coming. I mean, like when I was up and coming, when I was just trying to connect to myself and my passion and purpose. Bob, I don't know if you've heard of Bob Talbot.
No.
He photographed whales in the 80s and 90s, and he always showed me what's possible if you care about your subject. And his whale photography stands out. There's no comparison. There's no equivalent. Very sensitive to atmosphere, sea surface reflectivity states, and the behavior of the whale or dolphin. And then Nick
he
Brandt
has like a famous collection. Is it right? And like the name is familiar. I'd read an interview you gave actually, and you'd mentioned him before, so I googled him.
Oh, okay.
Is like the Talbot collection.
The Talbot collection. Yeah, I think that's it. Yep.
They're definitely iconic images. Like Ruben, I think if you look at them, they're images you've definitely seen before.
Okay.
He was like from the 80s and 90s. Is that right?
Yeah. And he moved into filmmaking, and I think he made a couple of IMAX films, and now I don't know what he's doing. I've only met him a couple of times, and so that he's influential early. But someone like Nick Brandt really inspired me. Again, it's like if you really care about a subject, photographing nature as an art form is really hard. I mean, obviously, just to capture it in a way that's original and compelling, and then to get it out in the world is really hard.
Was Nick Brandt a conservationist? I don't remember.
Yeah.
My thinking of his pictures are always, for some reason, there's dead animals in them. Is that my just imagination?
He has dead animals in his photography, but he also has these amazing, like you talk about, like the life-size whale portraits. He does portraits. He has done portraits of animals like lions. Like he'll sit next to them, wild animals, and cheetahs, and just wait for that moment. When there's one with the lion where he's waiting for something to happen, and the wind picks up and the sun comes out from a cloud, and he's using a portrait lens on a medium format camera, and
a lion.
Yeah. And so he's an amazing photographer, and he's done good with it. He started a foundation that protects these animals. They hire rangers that hunt down poachers, and I've always admired that.
Cool.
Yeah.
We have an expression, wait to make it great, and I feel like you absolutely encapsulate that.
Oh, thanks. It's the one thing that I do. It is I think for me to be able to see to conceive what I do is like I have to constantly emotionally decouple from all the financial influences and pressures to create work. And when I can remove that pressure and decouple from it, I see, like I can all of a sudden, it's like, veils lifted. So I think that's really helped, especially with the whale photography.
You're really the antithesis of a commercial photographer. I'm sorry to say, you're completely not trying to make. I mean, you're not out there doing. This sounds terrible, doesn't it? It's hard to be an artist, right?
It's hard, yeah, but it's so important, and what you can connect, what you can share with humanity. Things are so important that we can't see, and.
Is there any place that I'm so drawn to, and just kind of almost in disbelief that you've made these amazing portraits of whales 1-to-1? Is there any place that we can go that we can see these portraits?
I have smaller portraits and smaller photographs on display at Cape Cod at the Focus Gallery. That's the only gallery showing my whale photography, and it's shown year round.
Wow.
Okay. We'll put a link in so people who are on these
coast
can get over there. I see behind you a couple pictures. Something we'd like to ask everyone who comes on the show is to describe 2 photographs that are on your wall right now in your home. One that you took, and one that you did not take. That are photographs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I could share this one right here behind me.
Sure.
So I mentioned I spent 12 years to make 14 life-size portraits. This is my only photograph above water of a whale. It's a whale tail sticking out of the water. It's entitled A Mother Listens, and it's a mother doing just that, most likely, listening for other whales. And, it was a moment where I was completely stripped down emotionally, financially, everything. I had left my job, cashed out my retirement, sold everything I owned, and my boat, everything, my car. And I had tried for years to photograph whales in the traditional Bob Talbot above water on the Monterey Bay, with my own boat and a team of volunteers and all that. And here I am, like trying to make a life-size portrait, and this whale is sticking her tail out of the water for 20 minutes, and this tail is slowly spinning 360 around me. And so I spent about 3 minutes with with her above water, trying to make this photo, and I made it. And, it's this weird, I sold my boat, but yet I'm floating alone in the ocean with this whale making an above water photograph, and this literally what is on me is all I own. This camera, I have a laptop back, on land, but that's pretty much it. It's like just completely stripped down. And then I put that photograph away. I never thought about it. That was done in 2006. And I just focused on the portraits. And Cindy Valino, who owns the Focus Gallery, reached out to me in 2013 to say, I'll represent your work if you release that photograph. And the thing that blows me away is that photograph has sustained me for the last 6 years.
Oh,
it's sold out. We released it in 3 different sizes in editions of 20, and there's only like 2 prints left.
Wow.
And that has allowed me to just go all over and explore this new body of work and just keep going. So I'm so grateful to her.
Is that
beautiful?
Is that an archival print? Is that like a print behind you?
Oh yeah. That's one of the last prints that I have. I'm not releasing it to the public, but it'll probably stay with the body of work that I have that goes to museums.
It's great. It's beautiful.
Storage. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then one that you didn't take.
Yeah, there's one right here. Should I show you or?
Sure. Well, if you could send us.
I'll send it to you.
I'd like to post them if it's okay to show people what's on your wall.
Well, my wife Cheryl really spent her formative years in the Everglades. She's a plant ecologist, and before we met, she really grew attached to a photographer named Clyde Butcher. His work is black and white as well, landscape of the Everglades, of Florida nature. But he's very sensitive to atmosphere as well, and he works with these giant view cameras, and really an amazing photographer. So we have a little one of his on our wall, and I'll share a picture of that with you. And Cheryl has a bunch of his photographs, and it's just nice that his aesthetic is similar to mine, the way we connect with nature.
You said that you have a daily photography practice. What does that entail? What do you do?
I don't know if I take pictures every day. I try to, definitely when I'm inspired. But, I just, especially when the sun's out, I can just walk outside and connect with Earth's spin, its rotation, just by just sitting with the shadow. And it looks static, but you just sit there and watch it move across asphalt, across the cracks, things going out of the cracks. You just see the shadow move, and it's like, and you start to wonder, like, can anybody see this? And then you look, okay, so you see your head, you see the shadow cast over your head, and the sun is right there. So you can, I'm just talking about my driveway where I live. I'll see a shadow of a branch, and I'll go walk up to that shadow of the branch until my head is in the shadow. And then I just look over my shoulder, and the branch is illuminated on both sides. You don't see the sun anymore. And then you see, you'll see insects and spider webs moving around, and it's infinite. That's what I realized when I mentioned that moment earlier, when I felt the cosmos experience itself through me. It changed the way I see, and it's changed the way I connect. So it's like you're connecting to the infinite, and connecting to possibilities that are infinite. So it's overwhelming. So I find that I have to put a governor on it, or I don't take pictures because it's too overwhelming. So I try to go out in small doses and go outside. And
I talk sometimes in the show about the modulating force that a camera is. That sometimes the energy in front of you is so too great to experience directly. Whether sometimes it's love or sexual, sometimes it's personal, or a war happening and it's violent. But the camera transduces that in a way, and again, I'm hearing you describe this sensitivity to something out there that's almost too much to experience, and the camera is an opportunity to translate that into something we can kind of understand.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool.
One last question we like to ask all our guests, but if you could describe your photo in one word, your photography in one word, what word would you use?
Oh, one word.
You can hyphenate. We're flexible.
Is a self-portrait hyphenated? Is that self-portrait?
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
And this self is the illusion.
Yeah. I'll buy that. Hey, Bryant, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming and joining us. You bring such a different perspective for people getting into photography. We've talked to commercial people, we've talked to artists and educators, and you're a perfect kind of another point of view that I think will really be inspiring for people.
Oh, well, thank you. And I look forward to putting your podcast on my long trips to Yosemite in the coming months. So thanks.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you to Bryant. I think just talking to you has made me feel calmer and somehow more at peace with the world. And I feel like that's the thing I struggle with in my photography is waiting and being patient. And so thank you so much. It was really, really lovely chatting with you. Our show is recorded and produced in San Francisco. Go to neomodern.com/podcast to get show notes, see photos, and post comments. Please leave reviews and ratings on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe.
We get new listeners from you telling your friends and spreading the word. If you know someone who might get something from us, send them the link. Thank you to Mitchell Foreman for our theme music, and all of you for hanging out with us. We appreciate your attention and hope we've given you some things to think about. Until next time.